You think your dog has no sense of time. No watch, no calendar. Just a long, shapeless blur between the moment you leave and the moment you walk back through the door. But the dog waiting by that window, at the same hour, every single day, that dog knows something. And it has nothing to do with reading a clock. It has nothing to do with luck. And it has nothing to do with the mysterious sixth sense people love to imagine. Here's what's actually happening. Your dog keeps time in ways you can't see. And one of them may be the strangest thing a nose has ever done, measuring the hours by how your scent fades from the air. You've always wondered how they seem to know what time it is. Tonight, you find out what your dog has been sensing all along. Start with the thing you've seen 100 times. The afternoon light tilts a certain way across the floor, and your dog rises from the rug, crosses the room, and settles by the door. No one called them. Nothing happened. They just knew it was time. Your dog can't read a single number. They have never glanced at the clock above your stove and understood it. And yet they anticipate the events of their day with a regularity that feels almost uncanny. The walk, the meal, the scrape of their nails on the floor at the same hour, right before the sound of your car in the driveway. They line their whole day up against things that haven't happened yet. This isn't a memory of a clock face. It's something deeper, an internal sense of when. And almost every dog has it, whether anyone trained it into them or not. The puppy does it. The old dog does it. It runs quietly underneath everything else they are. If your dog turns up at the door minutes before you usually get home, you have already watched this happen. You felt that small, strange accuracy and wondered, just for a second, how? They aren't guessing. They're keeping time. So where does that timing actually come from? It starts somewhere you can't see. Inside your dog's body, there is a clock that never stops running. Every dog lives on a circadian rhythm, a roughly 24-hour internal cycle that decides when they sleep, when they wake, when hunger begins to rise, and even when certain hormones move through the body across the day. Cortisol climbs toward morning, helping them surface into the day. Body temperature drifts. Their alertness runs along a curve they never chose. Everything settles and quiets toward night. None of it depends on a clock on the wall. None of it depends on you. Think about that for a second. This rhythm was already ticking inside your dog this morning, long before they opened their eyes, before the house woke up, before the first sound on the street. Their body had already begun counting the day. If your dog wakes you within the same few minutes every single morning before any alarm goes off, that is not a coincidence. That is their internal clock running on time, the way it always does. It is the oldest clock they own, far older than any routine you have ever taught them. You set an alarm to keep your schedule. Your dog doesn't need one. The schedule is written into them. Their bodies have been counting the day since long before sunrise. But a clock on the inside only explains part of it. Because your dog doesn't just feel time from within, they read it from the room around them. And the next part is where it stops sounding like simple biology and starts sounding like something a lab at Barnard had to study just to believe. Here is where it gets strange. Alexandra Horowitz runs the Dog Cognition Lab at Barnard, and she describes a leading idea about how a dog might actually feel time passing. It begins with something you never think about. Your home is full of your scent. Every surface you touched, every cushion you sat on, the warm air rising off your skin and drifting through the rooms. And that scent is not a fixed, frozen thing. It fades. Hour by hour, it thins and drifts and grows fainter in a way that is fairly predictable. Now picture a nose as sensitive as your dog's moving through that air. The idea is that your dog may read the strength of your lingering scent as a rough measure of how long you have been gone. A strong, fresh trace of you. You left only moments ago. A faint, distant trace. Hours have passed. The smell of you is not just who you are to your dog. It may also be a kind of slow, invisible hourglass, quietly emptying through the house while you're away. It appears your dog may, in a very real sense, smell the difference between 1 hour and 5. Here's what that means for you. When you walk out the door in the morning, you leave a version of yourself behind in the air. And all day, without ever knowing it, your dog reads that version slowly disappearing. The house grows quieter to their nose. the way a room grows darker to your eyes as the sun goes down. If your dog meets you differently after a long day than after a quick trip to the mailbox, this may be part of the reason why. To your dog, time isn't a number on a wall. It's a smell, getting quieter. And your scent is not the only signal in that room. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more dog lovers who actually want to understand what their dog is really saying. Your dog doesn't read these signals one at a time. They stack them. Their internal clock is constantly syncing itself to the world outside. The angle of the sunlight as it moves across the floor. The warmth of it through the window in the afternoon. The sounds of your street are never quite the same at 9 in the morning as they are at 5 in the evening. The rhythm of your house, when the heating clicks on, when a neighbor's car pulls in, when the smell of someone's dinner drifts down the hall, when the light starts to go. Over thousands of quiet repetitions, all of it layers together. This is learning so slow and so constant that you never once catch it happening. Until your dog isn't tracking any single clue, they're feeling the whole texture of the hour at once. Here's what most people don't realize. When your dog gets restless at the same time every evening, even on the day you're running late, they are not staring at an empty bowl, willing it to fill. They are reading the day itself. The light, the sound, the shift in the air. Everything is telling them the same thing. It's almost time. Your dog isn't watching the clock. They're reading the entire room as one, which raises a stranger question. Can your dog tell not just what time it is right now, but how long something has already lasted? Because there is a study that suggests they feel the exact length of your absence. In 2011, two researchers, Rehn and Rehn Keeling, published a study in the journal Applied Animal Behaviour Science. They wanted to know something simple and something almost no one had carefully tested. Does it matter to a dog how long they are left alone? So they watched closely to see how dogs behaved after being separated from their owners for different lengths of time. Not just whether the dogs were happy to see them. How happy? How much movement, how much contact, how much of that whole body greeting a dog can't hold inside. And here is what they found. The dogs greeted their owners more intensely after a longer absence than after a shorter one. The longer they had been left, the bigger the reunion. Think about what that quietly suggests. Your dog doesn't only notice that you are gone. They seem to register how long you've been gone. The wait has a size. A 2-hour wait and an all-day wait are not the same thing to them, and their body shows you the difference the second you walk back in. You already know this, even if you've never put it into words. If your dog comes apart with joy after a full day away, but barely lifts their head when you've only stepped out for 10 minutes, you have watched this with your own eyes. You've watched your dog measure time and answer it with their whole body. They don't count the hours the way you do. They feel the weight of them. And the heavier that weights, the more of themselves they pour into the moment it finally ends. And once you understand that, the way your dog waits for you starts to mean something very different. That tail going faster after a long day isn't only excitement. It's the size of the absence written out in front of you. So bring it all together now. The circadian clock sets the baseline, ticking from within. The fading scent and the moving light mark out the hours. And endless repetition teaches your dog the shape of the day until they know its rhythm by heart. But here's the part that matters most. The rhythm your dog learns most deeply is yours. Your wake time. The sound of you getting ready. The particular way the door closes when you leave. The hour you come back. Your routine becomes the scaffolding their entire day is built. You are not just a person who lives in the house. You are the main event your dog organizes their time around. The morning is the stretch before you wake. The afternoon is the long, quiet middle without you. The evening is the part where you finally come back. And here's where it gets even more meaningful. When your dog seems to know your schedule better than you do, when they are already waiting before you've even reached for your keys, it's because their whole day has been quietly arranged around the shape of yours. They have studied you the way you study the people you love most, without trying, without ever stopping. Every door, every footstep, every change in your voice has been quietly filed away until your whole pattern lives inside them. You think you keep time for your dog. You feed them on schedule, walk them on schedule, and carry the weight of their day. But your dog keeps time with you. Every hour of their day is measured against where you are in yours, which is exactly what makes that quiet spot by the window mean so much more than it looks. One beat left now, and this is the part that stays with you. You've seen the videos. Everyone has. An arrivals hall in an American airport, a soldier home from a long deployment, or a kid back from college for the first time in months, and a dog that comes completely undone the instant they appear. The whole body shaking, the voice breaking into sounds you didn't know a dog could make, the legs almost giving out underneath them. People film it and share it by the millions because it looks like the dog somehow knew this exact moment was coming. In a quieter, smaller way, your dog does a version of this every single day. Think about what has been happening all those hours you were gone. The trace of you in the house, thinning in the air until it's almost not there at all. The long arc of the daylight, sliding from morning to gold to blue. The steady pull of their own internal clock, counting the way it has counted every day of their life. All of it tells your dog the same patient truth. It has been a long time. And then, the door. The handle is turning. The first faint trace of you returning to the air after a whole day of fading. The relief that floods through your dog in that moment is not confusion. It is not a dog who simply forgot you had ever left. It is a body that spent every single hour aware that you were gone and held on anyway. That waited through the whole length of it, with no promise that you were ever coming back at all. So when your dog greets you like you've come back from the other side of the world after nothing more than an ordinary workday, understand what you are really seeing. That is not a dog who lost track of time. That is a dog who felt the entire length of it and chose to spend every hour of it waiting for you specifically. No one else in the world quite does for them what you do. Every minute that you were away, you were still the center of their whole day. Your dog can't read a clock, but they can feel the exact shape of the time without you, and they fill all of it with you. So tonight, when your dog lifts their head at the hour you usually walk in, remember everything they are quietly reading in that moment. The clock inside them, counting since dawn. The light in the window, sliding from gold to blue. The sound of the street, changing by the hour. The warmth of the house, rising and fading with the day. And your scent, thinning in the air, hour by hour, telling them how long. The quiet of the house, deepening as the afternoon stretches on. And then the first sound of you, returning at the edge of everything. Your dog can't smell for a single minute, but they can smell the difference between just now and too long. Between you only just left, and you've been gone a while. If you're the kind of person who wants to understand the quiet things your dog has been telling you all along, then you are exactly where you should be. You always wondered how they knew what time it was. Now you know. They were never watching a clock. They were waiting for you and feeling every single hour of it. The whole patient length of a day spent loving someone who wasn't even home yet.